All right, next, I want to talk briefly about what are the tips for film-like academic writing. And this time, I invited my friend, Professor Tato Salvatore, to talk to us. Remember, I went to a conference to specifically see him, to talk about my manuscripts, and to consult his wisdom idea on how to improve them. Eventually, I published 3 articles on the journal. And at that meeting, I also invited him to give us some tips for a good writing, because he's the editor of the journal Humor, International Journal of Human Studies. And he has a lot of experiences of accepting and rejecting manuscripts from different parts of the world. And here is what he has to say. Let's just hear it.
Professor Tato, thank you for sharing with us about your experience and wisdom of editing and reviewing the papers. What would you expect from an author when they submit a manuscript?
Well, the most important thing is that the paper be well researched. The author needs to be aware of the relevant research in the field, in the area, must have read the recent stuff.
Okay, now you've heard what he said, and I summarized his points during this short interview. There were 10 points. First, the paper needs to be well researched. So do not write a paper without giving due review of the past researches. Second, the paper needs to be well targeted. So in this article or in this paper, you just want to address this particular topic. You do not address too many topics and then making your paper not so targeted. Third, the paper needs to be concise and to keep the paper as short as possible. Now, this is the wisdom. Okay, you do not have to write long to impress the readers. You want to write concise and even short paper to get your paper accepted. Fourth, the paper needs the native speaker's proofreading if you are a non-native speaker. Now, we all are non-native speakers. When we write, we struggle. Even for my friend, Professor Tato Salvatore, he is not a native speaker, but he learned how to express beautifully, effectively in English. And this takes time. So when you write, make sure you will get some native speaker to proofread for you. Otherwise, you do not see the problems. Now to see you already written on your paper for days, hours, even months, and you will not be able to detect any mistakes after you written for so long. We'll talk about this later. Fifth, the paper needs to follow the guidelines and the requirements of the target journal. So make sure what are the guidelines for particular paper. Now, for this paper, for this journal, the Humor, International Journal of Human Studies, it follows basically the APA style. So I have to check the format before I submit the paper. And sixth, the paper needs to address the point. Sometimes you bubble, then sometimes you bubble, and you lost your point. You make sure your point stays focused. And seventh, the paper needs to show something that is original, new, and interesting. That's the part. If you want to do something which is not original, you do a replicating study. Studies have done by others before. You will not impress the editor. Eighth, the paper needs to review what has been written on a topic. So this is what we talked. You need to give a summary of what has been done before you make your own points. Ninth, the paper needs to have clear goals, the goals for your study. And number 10, the paper needs to highlight the importance of research. That means what is value of study? You need to be very clear and then put them together when you submit a manuscript to a target journal. Make sure you go through this list. Make sure that the writing is good enough, is formulaic, and you are not upset the editor with what you write. Okay, having said all of this, this is for this topic. Thank you.